Hey, you guys, coming to you from outside, obviously. Hopefully we can get through this video and you guys will be able to hear me. I just finished cold plunging about 3 minutes ago. I am finally able to move around enough. I cleaned my whole cold plunge. I refilled it with colder water than was in it, and I just did it. What was really, really interesting was that I was scared again to do it. It was like I was just scared to take the initial cold plunge because I really don't like cold water, and I didn't get it for fun. I got it for health. And I had to overcome the fear again and get in. And as soon as I submerge myself underwater, it goes to 0 point in my mind, and everything is calm. I'm not really that cold submersed in the water, and my breath slows down. Everything just slows down. So I spent 3 minutes and 20 seconds just sitting in it, and I got out and my body is just craving it again. It's so interesting. And what I realized is that, so I think that the cold plunge, I had the amount of energy that I have right now, and the clarity, the peace, my whole body feels invigorated and refreshed. I have no lethargy in my body. And I read that when you cold plunge, it stimulates dopamine, which is what gets stimulated when we're Netflix and chilling, when we're scrolling, when we're doing all of our habitual kind of self-sabotage behaviors. So the dopamine gets released with cold plunge apparently as well. And I wonder if that's what I'm feeling. But what occurred to me is that it feels like a really, really good pattern disruptor. And so with me, I have worked with my subconscious mind a lot in the last 10 years of my life. And the subconscious mind is full of these patterns that we have acquired in our early years up to age 7. And, these loops reside inside of us. Without our conscious knowledge, they become unconscious. And it really is a pattern that goes on loop many times. And so when I was going to a therapist for 6 years, I made some progress, but what ended up happening is I kind of capped out because I realized now with the knowledge I have, I would just spin. I got to identify all these things from my childhood, but there was nothing I could do about them. So I just would spin them. And that kept me in my mind, and that kept me in my trauma and my loops, right? So basically I have experienced that I've a lot of loops in behavior, and that's how our subconscious operates. And I feel like the cold plunge could be a pattern disruptor for that. That's what it feels like. I wasn't feeling fantastic when I came in this plunge, and now I'm feeling like I'm fucking superwoman, guys. I really feel like I could conquer the world. I might not look like it in my robe with my bra and my sunglasses, but I feel it. And it also brought to light how this pattern disruption theme in and of itself is repeating in my life lately. Or I have other evidence of it, I guess I could say, in my experience with my private patient that I serve in the community. She has vascular dementia. And when I first started in the healthcare field, I was volunteering, and then I became a CNA. And my first job was on a locked dementia unit. And it was very rough to kind of be initiated into that realm of medicine so early, because I had no idea what to expect. But basically these people with dementia will get into a loop, And if it's a negative loop that's going to start, chaos with the other residents, you would go and you would disrupt their pattern by bringing up a memory that you knew about them or something like that. So for me, it was really, really weird because I was always so much about telling the truth. And then I'm I have to lie to these people? That doesn't feel right. But once you kind of get once you kind of see the picture, it really is causing a lot more calm and nervous system regulation to kind of disrupt them and lie to them, because it can keep them more at ease. So there's that example. And then I was just in a class with Peter Levine where I got to observe him treat patients in an hour something long session while he and another trauma guru, I'll say, would explain it. And it was so informative. And there was an episode or a module with a woman who had chronic pain. She had all this birth trauma. She had a cardiac event when she was a newborn baby. And then I think she went to a foster home, and she just had a really, really rough start. And she, upon looking at her, was very rigid. And so something about Peter Levine and the way he works, he invented something called somatic experiencing. It's a trauma release methodology that is extremely successful and well, it's produced a lot of positive results. And so to watch him work with people, he really reminded me of my myofascial release mentor, John Barnes, because it was very he could feel and read their energy just by observing them. And he's in his 70s or 80s. So this has been 30, 40 years of experience for him. Same with John Barnes. And these people have this ability to read every little thing. And so where I was going with this is that this one session, this woman was very rigid coming in. She had chronic pain and all this early trauma. And she told him about the pain, where it was located. It was in her spine, and it was squeezing. And that's how she described it, that her spine was that the muscles were just clenched around her spine. It was her spine was just clenched. So he, with all of his knowledge and experience, realized, and I have another example too from the same seminar or series. So he realized that was likely a pattern, and he knew that he disrupted it with something feedback. I don't know all the, the technical stuff. So he disrupted the feedback loop or something like that, and had her take her hands and grab his arm and squeeze on his arm the same way that the muscles were squeezing her spine. And so he had her do that, and in a matter of a half an hour, her pain went from an 8 to a 3. I think she walked out of there with no pain and a completely different energy. Like I had mentioned, her body was previously rigid. And so he disrupted the loop. And then there was a veteran that he was working with in one of the modules who had a tic. And what had happened to this guy was that he was in a convoy in Iraq. It was Iraq. And his whole unit got blown up with an IED, and he survived, but he was hit. And so he woke up in a hospital alive with a diagnosis of, I forget one of the diagnoses, but the other one was Tourette's syndrome, because he had this tick. And so Peter Levine, this magician, this nervous system magician, he thought that it was that. And he had him go into, and go into the feelings and do certain things. And he was able to interrupt that loop. And so it's a lot of disruption there. And actually, I feel like I know with every freaking cell in my body that I am here to be a disruptor. Which I feel that word has such a negative connotation. It's like, look at me. I'm so kind. I just want good. I'm a disruptor. That was like, I can't believe I did that. But no, I just think that disruptor doesn't have to have a negative connotation. I think that patterns getting disrupted are amazing. And I would not be where I am today if I had not interrupted the majority of patterns that ran my life for a long time. So that's that. I'll see you guys around.